Exotic combos, really strong interactions between an exotic weapon and exotic armor. Some combos give you 20-second supers, some turn you invincible, and others do this. So in this video, I'll go over 15 exotic combos that are really strong. I'm Marshix, and the first combo lets you spam abilities and create tons of ignitions. Apotheosis Veil recently got a change, so now it gives you unlimited ability energy for 8 seconds after popping your super. This means you can drop something like Well of Radiance, then immediately start throwing tons of grenades and melees to create multiple ignitions which feed into our exotic weapon, Dragon's Breath. This rocket launcher runs on fuel. Fuel regenerates over time, and the more fuel you have, the more damage it does. Also, each time you ignite a target, it will regenerate fuel, and when it reaches 5 stacks, it reloads itself. So what you can do is shoot this once going into a boss fight, throw down Well of Radiance for a damage buff and to trigger Apotheosis Veil, then spam abilities until Dragon's Breath gets max fuel, then continue to spam abilities and rockets. This combo is really strong against bosses with longer damage phases, like the bosses in Warlord's Ruin, and this is probably what I'm going to use when I attempt my solo flawless. Or if you don't like Dragon's Breath, you can also use a Demolitionist rocket for similar results, and that would leave open your exotic slot for something else. The only downside to this combo is that you have to wait for your super every time. But this next combo gives you supers in only 20 seconds. Celestial Nighthawk. This exotic will turn your golden gun into one really powerful shot. And this season, it got a buff that not only increased its damage by a lot, but it also got a change that enables a new combo. Now, all precision kills will give you a small chunk of super energy that ranges between 1.5% and 4.5% based on the tier of enemy you kill. That might not sound like much, but it adds up really fast. And in addition to that, when you kill an enemy with your golden gun, you get a large chunk back. I'm talking a third of your super back instantly. Now, the weapon we're pairing with this is Bad Juju. This pulse rifle will regenerate super energy with kills, making it possible to get your super back in only 20 seconds, as you can see by the clip in the background. Between this, both parts of Nighthawk, and Siphon mods creating Orbs of Power, you can basically spam your overpowered golden gun shots and nuke any boss or champion in your way. Also, Bad Juju never has to reload, just like this next combo. Worm God Caress. Melee kills fill up a meter on the left side of your screen. The more full it is, the more damage you deal with your melees. Up to a 275% damage buff at tier 5, which is crazy. But what's even crazier is that this melee buff affects glaives too. Tier 5 from Worm Gods will triple the damage of your glaive attacks, meaning Winter Bite can deal some crazy damage. This is a heavy glaive, meaning it deals more damage than normal glaives, and it even slows enemies you hit with it. Since this is the hardest hitting glaive, it only makes sense to triple its damage to easily take down minors, majors, and even bosses. But if constantly getting kills to keep the buff gets annoying, you can also use Synthoceps. This exotic will make your glaive do double damage just by being in close proximity to 3 or more enemies, which you definitely will be considering you're using a glaive. Hunters also have this exact same combo. Triton's Vice has a lot more text than Synthoceps, but the important part is that your glaives deal more damage when surrounded by enemies. Double damage, the exact same as Synthoceps. Also, it's important to mention that there's a trick that allows you to attack twice as fast with glaives. All you have to do is hold down the block button while you're swinging, and it will attack noticeably faster. You don't even have to have any charge, it just works. This next combo is really easy to set up and deals some really high burst damage. Merciless. This fusion rifle shoots faster the more you shoot it. Everyone knows that. But what many people forget is that this has another perk called Impetus. This will increase its damage after you get a kill, then reload. The exact same as Kill Clip, resulting in a ton of damage really fast. But what you can do is pair this with Rain of Fire to further increase its damage. Fusion rifle kills make you Radiant, which is a 25% damage buff on top of the 50% damage buff from Impetus. This means you only need to get 1 kill, then reload, and your Merciless will be doing 87% more damage. Or more than double damage if you're using weapon surges on your boots. And don't forget, Merciless shoots really fast once it's charged up, just like X-Dirus. This is a grenade launcher that looks and acts just like the Hive Boomer guns. Dealing or taking sustained damage increases the rate of fire of this weapon, and kills with this weapon create hive moths that track down enemies and commit war crimes. Now, what's better than a suicidal moth? A swarm of suicidal moths. Introducing Moth Keepers. These gauntlets turn your grenades into moths. Throw them down near enemies and they'll attack. or throw them down near yourself or an ally and they'll turn purple and give you an overshield. But that's not all. This has a unique interaction with Xdearest that makes it spawn double moths with every kill. One blue moth that blows up, and one purple moth to give you the overshield. Between these two exotics, there will be an army of moths flying all over the place, wreaking havoc and protecting you at the same time. This combo works with any subclass of your choice, but it's especially useful when using Arc because the grenade launcher enrages faster when you're amplified, or you can use it with a Void subclass to take advantage of the Void overshields you constantly get from purple moths. The main goal of Destiny is to not die, and this next build stops you from doing that. Precious Scars just got an update that gives you restoration just by getting kills with weapons that match your subclass. For those of you that don't know, restoration is constant healing and it makes you nearly invincible. So it's crazy that we get this from just weapon kills. Now we can use this on any subclass, but it's a million times better when using Solar. Each kill only gives you restoration for 3 seconds, but if we use Ember of Solace, this will go up to 8 seconds. And if we also use Ember of Empyrean, this buff can be extended indefinitely, as long as you get a kill within 12 seconds of each other. However, this isn't necessary for infinite restoration, because Precious Scars triggers every 5 seconds anyway. So what you can do is throw in a really good solar weapon that can take out enemies very quickly, and as long as you keep getting kills, you'll have infinite restoration. And if this ever goes away, you just need to get a single kill to start it up again. The weapon I chose for this is Sunshot. Let's be honest, Sunshot is the best solar weapon for ad clear, and it isn't even close. It deals more damage to red bars because it's an exotic, and one kill can create a chaining explosion that easily takes out multiple enemies at once. This is the best way to keep restoration going, and unless your IQ is in the negatives, you won't die with this build. Just like most builds in this game, Warlocks can do the same thing, but better. Karnstein Armlets will give you restoration from melee kills and finishers. Very easy to get started. Then you can extend the timer just like before using Ember of Solace and Ember of Empyrean. Now what makes this better than Precious Scars is that finishers, specifically finishers, give you restoration times 2. This heals you significantly faster than restoration times 1, and it's just as easy to keep going. Just get solar kills. Now you can use Sunshot like the previous combo, or any other solar ad clear weapon, but let me introduce you to my mono solar build. I have Amit with Incandescent for my primary weapon, a solar rocket for DPS, and conditional finality for my exotic. You may see this and think, how is this a mono solar build? That's clearly a stasis weapon. Well, this weapon counts as both stasis and solar. The first shot freezes whatever it hits, and the second shot ignites them. And the cool thing about this is that both shots benefit from solar mods, like Solar Surge, Solar Scavenger, and Solar Siphon. And it also activates subclass fragments like Ember of Empyrean, meaning with this mono solar loadout, every single kill you get will extend the duration of restoration. All your abilities and all your weapons, even conditional. This next combo lets you deal some crazy damage with throwing knives. Ophidius Faith gives you 2 melee charges, and it just got an update that increases your throwing knife damage too. Each throwing knife kill gives you a stack of this buff, giving you 30% more damage at 1 stack, 60% at 2 stacks, and 100% or double damage with 3 stacks. This buff lasts 5 seconds, and you can dodge to extend the timer. Now, what we can do is use Ember of Torches to make us radiant with our throwing knives, and knock them down to refund our throwing knives while we're radiant, creating a loop that gives us infinite throwing knives as long as we don't miss, and allowing us to keep up that damage buff too. Double damage is cool and all, but I want more. That's why I decided to pair this with a 1-2 punch shotgun. After hitting an enemy with your shotgun, your next melee will do double damage. And if I did my math right, that means our throwing knives will do 4 times more damage. But we can increase this even more if we throw on Tractor Cannon to apply a 30% debuff before we hit them with our knives. And all these buffs stack multiplicatively, meaning with all 3 buffs, our melees will be dealing 5.2 times their normal damage, which is going to kill just about anything in the game except for raid bosses. And don't even get me started on how easy it is to stay alive using this build with Ember of Searing, Ember of Mercy, and Ember of Empyrean, which gives you infinite restoration with throwing knives. This build is so good. Speaking of staying alive, this next build gives you unlimited woven mail for constant damage reduction. Abundant Leap is usually used to improve your barricade suspend effects, but this also has a secondary effect that we're going to use. You gain woven mail when you suspend targets. This triggers off all suspend effects, not just your barricade, which means we can pair this with Wishkeeper, Getting precision hits or normal kills with this weapon will build up stacks of Snare Weaver. At 6 stacks, you can create a trap on the ground that suspends enemies. This will leave enemies vulnerable just hovering in the air, and thanks to a Buoyant Leap, you also get Woven Mail for that massive damage reduction. Because you get the Snare Weaver trap very easily and very often, you'll be able to keep up Woven Mail basically all the time. Wishkeeper also has catalysts that unlock even more perks, one of them being Hatchling. This will create threadlings with every precision kill. Why is this important? Well, this means it combos very well with Swarmers. These exotic boots spawn threadlings when you destroy tangles, and your threadlings unravel their targets, resulting in more damage. Being that Wishkeeper is able to spawn threadlings on its own and create tangles with the suspend effect, this is perfect for creating a threadling army. And you can improve this build with a few fragments. Most notably Thread of Continuity to increase the duration of the suspend and unravel effects that this combo relies on, Thread of Evolution to make your threadlings more bloodthirsty, and the Wanderer to make your threadlings spawn tangles, which spawn threadlings, that spawn tangles, that spawn threadlings. You get what I'm saying? Now, as of the recording of this video, the catalysts for Wishkeeper are not available, but I am using a similar bow, Vengeful Whisper, which comes from the Warlord's Ruin dungeon, and it's doing a great job filling its spot in the meantime. You have 5 seconds to like the video or this ghost gets it! I'm not sure if this next combo is a glitch or if this is intended, but you can get infinite invisibility with True Sight using Monte Carlo. I know, it sounds weird, but when you pair Monte Carlo with Khepri's Sting, you get infinite charged melees. Punching someone with full melee energy will instantly cast Smoke Bomb, dealing increased damage, giving you True Sight, debuffing the enemy, and if you're using the Stylish Execution or Aspect, you turn invisible too. This normally consumes your melee charge, but when you use the bayonet mode on Monte Carlo, it doesn't for some reason. So all you have to do is get a few kills with Monte Carlo, swap to the bayonet, stab someone to activate Khepri's, then stab the next guy, then another and another until everyone's eventually dead. You can destroy most enemies with a single punch. Peregrine Greaves allows you to deal some massive damage whenever you use a shoulder charge ability in the air. These attacks already do decent damage on their own, and this will increase that damage by 225%, more than triple its normal damage. But it gets better. Against mini bosses, which include champions and tormentors, this damage bonus is even higher, 1000% more damage, and it refunds your melee charge on hit. This is just dumb, but it gets better. Unfortunately, we can't pair this with a 1-2 punch shotgun, that would be broken, but we can still use Tractor Cannon to increase the damage. Just debuff the boss with Tractor Cannon, run around in a circle for a second to activate Peregrine, then evaporate it with your fist, and do it again to the next guy. It's actually hilarious how much damage this does to champions. Look at that, 300,000 damage, and I got my melee back. That's nuts. But this next build does something similar, but from a much safer distance. You'll get very fast grenades that hit like a truck, or like that guy who got in a fight at McDonald's over Pokemon cards. Verity's Brow. Weapon final blows that match your subclass grant you stacks of death throws, which increases the damage of your grenades and gives you grenade energy back too. Every stack will increase your grenade damage by 20%, and it stacks up to 5 times. Meaning, your grenades deal double damage with this buff, which lasts for 11 seconds and refreshes on every kill. Now, you're definitely going to want to use this on a solar subclass for 2 reasons. 1, fusion grenades already deal a ton of damage with Touch of Flame because they explode twice. And 2, the current artifact has Revitalizing Blast, which weakens enemies who are hit by our solar abilities, meaning our solar grenades deal even more damage. Now, how are we getting and keeping death throws? Isn't it obvious? We're once again using Sunshot because it's solar, gets tons of kills very easily, and most importantly, it's so sexy. So just shoot 1 or 2 shots to get the 5 kills for death throws, then throw your mini nuke and destroy most things in the game. It almost one-shots champions and legend lost sectors. Then you just have to get kills until you recharge your grenade and then use it again. If you don't want to use Sunshot, you can also use a weapon with Demolitionist and Incandescent for another source of grenade energy that's still pretty good at ad clear. You can also use Ember of Blistering for a 3rd way to get grenade energy, and you can also use Grenade Kickstart and Innervation for a 4th and 5th way to get grenade energy. This is complete overkill, but feel free to experiment and have fun blowing up the whole world. There are so many more combos like massive poison explosions, turning primary weapons into heavy weapons, and never reloading. But you'll have to check out this playlist to see them all. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Marshix, and I'll see you next time.